Hello and welcome back to the Bad Movie Reviews channel, hosted by none other than your two favourite Aussie Spider-Men from Earth 616, or I don't know.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
Who knows? Who
Why
knows? And if you haven't figured it out, we will be reviewing one of our highly anticipated for the year, which is the sequel to 2018 Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Is it that long ago?
It is that long ago, 5 years. It was supposed to come out last year, this film, so they pushed it back a whole year. It was supposed to come out May or March 2022.
Yep.
But it's here nonetheless,
Yep.
which, for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically obviously continues from where...
Direct sequel from the
Direct
previous
sequel
film.
from the first one, set a year and a half later where essentially there's a new threat which is threatening the multiverse, you'd say.
Yeah.
And it's directed by three guys, Justin K. Thompson, Kemp Powers, and Okwam DeSantos, all directing animated Legend of Korra. Kemp Powers did Soul, which I loved, and Justin K. Thompson, this is his directorial debut. Obviously, there's a few there, but written by Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, who are hugely popular. But without further ado, there's a lot to unpack with this film, so we'll get straight into it. Really, you wanna take
This
it on?
This was a good film.
A good film.
It was a good film. I feel like I always start off with a lot of films that I enjoy using the same terminology. I enjoyed this film a lot, and that's the words I use a lot too. But it was a great time. There was some great story that was a build up that hopefully we see some development maybe in a future film. But it was just phenomenal. I don't know.
What was a good film? Was it phenomenal?
It was like I don't know how to say it. The story was great.
Yeah, we'll try and touch on probably as least as possible. I think most people probably realise now that it is part one of a two-parter.
Yeah.
So bearing that with what,
Part one, great, loved it. The voice acting, phenomenal. The animation styles were absolutely dope. When they go to between multiple universes, and then they get all of them have their own unique cartoon art style. I was like, I'm really frothing this. This is great. Let's look at some comic side of things. Let's look at some oil painted art versions. It was beautiful. There's full of a billion references, as you can imagine, for anyone that's really loves the Spider-Verse itself. You'd probably see, I think, nearly every single variation of this, including ones that do not exist, which I think was great. It did a lot of aspects of people pleasing, but it still tried to stay very unique, and I think it did that quite well. The score was delicious. They've got a couple of originals in there made for the film, but generally some good use of some other songs too, which always complement it. And one of the key aspects of the first one, you always think of Sunflower too. That did, I believe, have a feature in this, but a little bit of a different version. But yeah, it just complemented the film, didn't take away from it, created that immersion that I think was very similar to the first film. But it was a good sequel. We talk about the 3 Bs, bigger, bolder, better, if I'm remembering they're all right. Bigger, without a doubt, if they had to split into 2 parts, that's done. Bolder, definitely trying a lot more. I'm definitely keen on that. And better, don't know yet. I'll wait until I see the second half before I maybe review the whole thing as one. But look, some steps in the right direction. I think, this film was just enjoyable. Probably won't go down as one of the best films ever made, but I'll tell you what, this Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, it's Across the Spider-Verse, isn't it? And what was the other one, Beyond the Spider-Verse?
The third one will be Beyond, yeah.
It's following just a great sequence, and even though these films are animated, they are worth watching, and they hold up with every other Spider-Man film, in my personal opinion. The first one is actually probably my number 1 to number 2 favourite Spider-Man movie ever. This wouldn't be far down the list either. But look, I'm just jabbering on. What did you think of the film overall?
I think I loved it a lot more than you.
Yeah, cool.
From the sounds of it. I really don't know where to unpack this to begin with. I guess we'll start off with what you can see. As you said, each character, each each character, each world has a distinctive art style, and there's just, you can almost just unpack and see so much love put into every single detail. There are probably about 5 Spider-Man variations that they do take focus on. And then you've obviously got the hundreds and hundreds you've seen within the trailer, which, obviously take a back step. But overall, there's a lot within every shot. There's something you could probably watch this film probably 30 times and you'll pick up on things.
I'd love to
newer and
watch
newer.
it in certain scenes in slow motion too, just to really see all the finite details.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot beyond the eye in a way. In terms of the crowd pleasing you touched on, there is some things put in there and like Easter eggs and things that are very on the nose, but you can almost tell that there's probably 99 times more in a way behind the camera that like these artists just would have put in and just would have been like, that's awesome. Like little text to the side that you notice and
did not take away from the film at all.
Well, no, you pick up on it and you go, that's really cool, but it's not adding to anything to it in a sense. But in terms of the story, I really ate up everything that this story was giving. Obviously, as we've kind of unpacked, it is part 1 of 2, so it does end on kind of a massive cliffhanger, and to wait another year's kind of probably the only con that I have coming out of this. I don't have any negatives about this film. The soundtrack was fantastic. The audio design was fantastic. That's one other thing is the audio design. We obviously unpacked the visuals, where every visual aspect of each multiverse is different, whether it be the way the character's animated, the way the world looks. Also, the sound design was uniquely different in every universe as well, which the level of detail is just ridiculous. But to not even, I don't want to be full of recency bias here, but I'm not kidding when I say this is probably one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. And potentially, I think this will probably go down as well as maybe one of the best sequels of all time. And you think of, obviously comic book movie wise or pop culture wise, you think of Empire Strikes Back, you think of Dark Knight. This is on that level for me.
Phantom Menace.
Shut up. Where you literally made every single aspect got bigger, as we said, bigger, better. The animation is ridiculous, but the story, it's obviously this multiversal story, but deep down, it's all about family, belonging, friendship, love, something where we all can relate to and everyone can take something out of it. And it does hit every mark, where it is amusing, it is emotional at times, it is heartfelt, it is not necessarily scary, but action-packed. I don't have a bad word to say about this, and I would love to see it 10 more times just to pick up on other things, and I'll buy it on 4K when it comes out, probably in 4 months' time. But man, I cannot wait fast enough for the next one though, because I want to see what happens. And when I say it left itself on a cliffhanger, I genuinely mean that. It's almost as Dark Knight level, where obviously Dark Knight, it ends with him going under the tunnel or the police chasing him, which it doesn't really pick up on that in the third one.
Yeah,
but this one, you can't not pick up where it left off. So
correct.
But no, and one thing I got to give props to is all the voice acting. The voice acting's fantastic. Haley Steinfeld as Gwen Stacy is probably a standout for me. Shamik Moore is fantastic as Miles. Oscar Isaac is also phenomenal as Miguel O'Hara. And Daniel Kaluuya are in there as well. You've got Jake Johnson, Andy Samberg. You've also got Amanda Stenberg, who plays Margot, who's plays Rue in Hunger Games. Got throwing it back a little bit. Taking it back to 2012 or whenever that was. But just every bit about this film, in my opinion, is pitch perfect. It is a 2-hour 20 run time, but it didn't necessarily feel like it overstayed its welcome or was paced, in a poor manner. And I do understand why they've also split it into 2 parts, really. So just to kind of pack everything in. But man, I've no bad words to say.
You're right. The only downside of this film is I have to wait another year for the rest of the story.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's 100% correct. And I don't know anyone who wouldn't like this film as well. That's the thing as well. Like, I could go to my parents, and my, dad isn't the biggest superhero movie fan, or my mum might not necessarily, even though I'm the biggest advocate for animated films, and I say all the time that they're not kids' films. Like, you go watch Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio or something like that. Like, they're not kids' films. I'm the biggest advocate for this. I could go recommend it to any adult and they will love it. You could go take any kid at any age, really, and there's something for them to enjoy, whether it's the colors or the visuals or anything. Like, it's not scary by any mean, but man, it's just, I just really hope it makes a lot of money, because despite Into the Spider-Verse being, I guess, a bit of a cult hit, really, it didn't necessarily make all that much money. Like, it wasn't, for instance, Super Mario Bros. Has just passed Frozen as the second biggest animated film of all time, which came out of nowhere, in my opinion. But like, the first one, I don't think even clocked more than 500 mil.
Yeah.
Or around there. It was around $500 million, which is a lot of money. But, with how this movie looks, I'm also baffled that the production, I think, is only about $100 million. And then you look at Fast X, which is $300 million. It kind of makes me a little bit sick in the stomach. Not to shoot down any films, but just you can just like, I just give biggest props to the creators here. Like, the amount of love, the amount of time it would have took to the undertaking of this film. I read somewhere that the whole animation of Spider-Punk, Hobie, took 2 years. Just that character alone. And we're talking not even, one of the main 3, 4. Obviously, this character's got, as we said, different animation styles. And to have 5 characters with different animation styles in a world where it's also a different like, just the attention to detail, the love that's put into this. This is why I love film. This is why I watch film. I'm just gasping over it. I love this movie. Please go see it. Give it the money it deserves, rather than Super Mario Brothers or something. Go see it. Definitely go see it. Great film. Yeah. Have you got anything else to add at all? Or
Not really. You definitely summarised, I think, everything there.
I did go on a bit of a tangent, but this is
It is beautiful. That's why I said it was good, and then I said it was phenomenal, and I did
laugh at that, because you're like, yeah, I enjoyed this. It was good, and then you're like, everything about it was phenomenal. So
yeah, I was like, the more I thought about it and processed it, I was like, because I think I tried to find a con for some of it just for conversational piece more than anything else, but I couldn't. So the only word that came out was phenomenal. It was a great film, and as I said, the first one is probably one of my favourite Spider-Man movies ever, and I think it should be most people's.
It's in my top 3, but
this deserves the respect too.
The first one was in my top 3. This one, recency bias, ask me in 6 months at the moment. Like, I'm not kidding when I mean it's 1.
It definitely, if you were to look at the most recent Spider-Man film, the one with Tom Holland, it took the strengths of that film and amplified it, but then created its own unique story. And I think that's something that just worked fantastically for this. It's here's some cool people-pleasing stuff. Here's something that really makes you happy, but still, let's make it unique.
Well, that's the thing. I've openly spoken about No Way Home, and I said you kind of take away the aspect of Andrew and Toby being in it. It's a very mediocre film. This film, you've got the aspect of having every possible Spider-Man in comics, whether it be a T-Rex Spider-Man, which we see in the trailer, and you're like, yeah, that's cool, but it doesn't add or take away anything from the film. That's the thing. Deep down, the story, its heart, it's something we can all get around. It's about family, it's about longing, it's about love. And that's why it really does work.
Correct. It had a beautiful foundation.
All the day, every day, every film, it all comes down to what's on the paper.
Agreed.
And that's why you should pay your writers, Hollywood, with the WGA strike going on. No film. Yeah.
Anyway, watch the film. It was delicious. And we both recommend it highly.
Yeah, I do. Other than that, we'll catch you next week. Let us know what you think in the comments below if you have seen it. Other than that, feel free to subscribe, put on notifications, as we will be reviewing Transformers Rise of the Beasts next week at some point. So when we see that at the screening. So we'll catch you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.